Well, the New York Rangers have done it. They've defeated the Carolina Hurricanes. The visiting team has finally beaten a home team, and Carolina has lost a game at home for the first time this playoffs. The unfortunate thing is they were unable to win a game on the road, so this will inevitably end the Carolina Hurricanes season, and it was a good season, but it feels like a tough note to go out on. Look, we're going to talk all about the New York Rangers, them going forward. We're going to talk about all about the Carolina Hurricanes in this series, what made the difference. We're going to break down the Game 7 goals. We'll talk about the future of the Rangers as they show up to play the Bolts. So you're going to get it all right here, right now. Let's talk about it. I think the first thing we have to talk about when it comes to the New York Rangers is someone that we've mentioned. We've said he's really good before, but it's Mika Zibanejad. You thought I was going to Igor Shesterkin, didn't you? Don't lie. We'll talk about Team Shesterkin in a second, but let's go ahead and talk about Zibanejad. Look, I call the Rangers pretenders coming into this because it's very clear they had one hot goalie. Their Corsi wasn't the strongest. The team going in may have eaten the lunch of the Pittsburgh Penguins going forward, but I think this team has now blossomed and grown into itself. Watching what I've seen, there were a lot of Ranger fans talking to us saying, okay, I guess you were right, they're pretenders when they were down 3-1 to Pittsburgh. But then we saw them starting to grow, and we saw them starting to blossom, and we saw them starting to play as a team, and I think that started with Mika Zibanejad. Shesterkin was good in the start of the Pittsburgh series. Then he fell off. Then he started to get good, and it coincided with Zibanejad. And ever since Zibanejad had that 4-point night against the Penguins, he hasn't looked back. He was a dynamo in this series against the Canes. Zibanejad definitely led the New York Rangers. He's leading in points right now. He's got 16 points, tied with Adam Fox, and they are both tied for number 3 in the NHL playoff point race. So that's pretty impressive. Zibanejad and the number 1 line have driven it, and they found a way to crack the code that is the Jordan Staal line. The Jordan Staal line has shut everybody down from here to Timbuktu, but the Jordan Staal line gets beat tonight. The Carolina Hurricanes get beat tonight. They lose a goalie tonight. We'll get into the Canes in a second, but we got to give the New York Rangers their due and their victory lap. So Zibanejad, really nice job. And is he elite? Because a few of you keep asking. Depends who you ask. Depends who you ask at this point in time. He's definitely having an elite playoff run, though. So really good job to Zibanejad. He should carry this momentum on against the Bolts. Next, I don't think people are talking about Adam Fox enough. Simple. That's crazy. I know, former Norris Trophy winner, and I'm sitting here saying nobody's talking about poor little Adam Fox. Well, I just think he deserves more chatter. Everybody's been talking about Cale Makar and the greatness that he is, and he's great. Makar is my favorite defenseman in the NHL, so please don't let me pumping Adam Fox's tires take any of that away. You've heard me say it before. There's a lot of room at the top for elite players. There's only one elite of the elite. His name is McDavid. But after that one there, it's a pretty good cluster at the top, and Fox is definitely up there. I mean, he's a defenseman, and he's tied for 3rd in points overall. McDavid, Draisaitl, Fox, come on, this guy's unbelievable. The contribution he's had to the Rangers in this series cannot be understated. Fox is definitely the franchise player of this team after Igor Shesterkin. And I mean, all right, we'll talk about Team Igor. Look, I don't know if you guys get it yet or get what I was trying to say before when I said this is Team Shesterkin. It's not an insult, folks. You got to remember, the goalie plays for the team. He's on the team. The goalie is a key piece of the team. And I have spent the entire playoffs talking about the upper paid goalies like Markstrom and Kemper, how they are not performing. And people come back and say, hey, well, goalies like that, they only need to make the first save. Get out of here. When you're paid like Shesterkin, Markstrom, and Kemper, you're paid to be elite. Not just stop the first one, but steal a game or two. And Shesterkin has done that. Shesterkin stole 3 in this series. Look, a goalie alone can't win you the Stanley Cup. You heard me say it about Vasilevsky. Same thing about Shesterkin, but they can steal a couple games here and there. And those couple games add up, and in those couple games keep building. Guys like Zibanejad gain confidence. Guys like Fox start racking up points. The kid line starts showing up, and Filip Chytil blossoms into a number one centerman. Oh my goodness. Okay, I'll pump the brakes on that one. He's not getting there yet, but he had a damn good series, didn't he? But Shesterkin did his job. Him and Vasilevsky have been the two best goalies in the playoffs. They've done their job. They put their team in a position to win. When you have Igor Shesterkin, he puts your team in the position to win night in and night out. That is what I mean by Team Shesterkin. You take Shesterkin out of that net, I do not think you get through either of these series, regardless of how good your backup is. And what's my proof on that? Carolina Hurricanes, baby. Freddie Andersen, it is unfortunate he never got to play for the Canes. It is unfortunate for Canes and their fans. It's just unfortunate you didn't get to see your team that had such a great year flex through it, but that's playoff hockey, baby. Brind'Amour said it going in. What are you going to do? Cry about it? That's from your own coach, not from Coach Ryan D. Raanta played incredible. I released a video earlier in the playoffs, and I'll link it at the end if you want to go ahead and watch it. But I released a video earlier in the playoffs that talked about, hey, you need to have your goalie back. You can't rely on guys like Domi and Raanta. You need your starter, because at the end of the day, these backup goalies, regardless of how good they are, eventually they get figured out. And I think that's unfortunately what happened to Raanta. I know he ended up getting hurt in this game, so he didn't get a fair crack. I know he got cross-checked in the back before he ended up getting hurt. Don't worry, we'll talk about penalties and all that there, but the league didn't agree. So they make no call. Raanta pushes post to post, tears his leg. I mean, I don't know if it's torn, to be honest, but it looked like a groin tear. Whatever it is, it's a strain, it's a pull, it's a something, because it's a non-contact injury, and Raanta has a history of getting hurt with lower body injuries. You hate to see it. He played fantastic. When you have a goalie who's a backup not getting paid a ton, these are the goalies that are paid to just stop the first shot. That's when you can use the excuse of your job is to stop the first shot, because that's exactly what he's getting paid for. Provide relief, give your team a chance to win, and Raanta went above and beyond. So everybody give the golf clap to Raanta. Antti Raanta was a hell of a player for the Canes in this one. It's just unfortunate that the fairy tale couldn't continue. Peter Kochetkov ends up coming in. Look, he can't hold it. You're going to expect a kid to come in cold and stop this? No way, Jose. So good job by Kochetkov. You can't knock the kid for anything. He gave it his best. He just got fed to the wolves. Getting back to the New York Rangers, let's talk about the other keys to their victory. We talked about Fox. We talked about Zibanejad. We talked about Shesterkin. Let's go ahead and talk about Trouba. Let's talk about Miller, and let's talk about Lindgren. But first, Ranger fans, Canes fans, why don't you go ahead and smash subscribe down there? 80% of you aren't subscribed yet. We see you watching. We love you here watching. Go ahead and hit that button. It's free. It's red down below. Helps us out. Please go ahead, drop the big thumbs up, help spread the love as we go into the Eastern Conference Finals. We'll stick with you the whole way. Join our Discord. We got a bunch of hockey nutcases talking in there all day. I'm one of those nutcases. It's got memes, it's got entertainment, it's got fun. I've been in a lot of Discords in my life, and this one is definitely the most fun. Shout out to Jacoby James for building that for us. You are an absolute beauty, sir. Thank you for being here. So join one of the three, do all three of them. Whatever, we really appreciate you watching and being here. Hey, and think about giving our membership page a join down below. Join these beauties here. We got some amazing Rangers and Canes fans in there. Look, Mick, your team didn't get through. I'm sorry, buddy, but soccer season is upon us, so why don't we go ahead and cheer for a little soccer? Maybe you can teach me a thing or two on that one. So Ranger fans, on the members page, you're going forward. We're going to cover this more and more and more. And hey, think about dropping a super thanks down below. That always goes to help Coach Ryan D. Tips always appreciated for the content we put out. Trouba, Miller, and Lindgren, each one of them with their own unique story that changed this series. Let's go ahead and start with Lindgren. This guy has been hurt more times than I can count at this point. Poor guy gets rocked, absolutely rocked today. I thought he was done, Skjei. You look at his knees being carried off, and then what happens? He's back on the bench. What a tough guy. I even put it in the Discord chat. I'm like, rip, he's done. Don't worry, he'll be back. I was kidding. I thought he was done. No, he's back. What a tough man Lindgren is. So he is a vital part to the Rangers defense. He allows Adam Fox to do what Adam Fox can do. He is the more defensive of the two. So good to see Ryan Lindgren back. He also has an amazing first name. Condre Miller. I have really grown to like this guy, guys. I understand Ranger fans. You've been watching him for some time, but the guy's an absolute freight train. He's built like a brick house. I love his game. He is a two-way defenseman all day, every day. Provides a little bit of offense, provides a lot of stay-at-home defense, which is ironic considering he was converted from a forward. wow. The funny thing about hockey players, guys, and I'm sorry if you're a forward, usually defensemen, they have the bigger brains. I'm just saying that on average. You got to really think the game to play defense. So when you convert from forward back to D, it is a very difficult conversion. It's a totally different game. He has done fantastic. I think this guy's a stud right now. He's got nothing but room to grow. He's big. He plays the game the right way. I love Condre Miller. He's only going to get better, and he's only gotten better in this series. And then my buddy, my favorite, my number one player, Jacob Trouba. Even I can call a spade a spade. Troubs played a solid series, and if anything, he may have won the series for them with his physicality. Trouba is nasty. That guy levels people with body checks. The NHL believes every single one of them is clean. We had hot debates about Trouba and whether or not his hits were clean or not. But the funny thing about those debates is they're a great exercise, but there's nothing we can do about it because the NHL will call whatever the NHL wants to call. They think it's clean. You let me know what you think down below. I love good physical hockey. Trouba lays a massive hit on my actual buddy, Seth Jarvis. You guys know I love Jarvis as a player. The guy's amazing. Unfortunately, that's one of those, you got to keep your head up when you're on the trolley tracks there, kid. That was a nasty hit. We'll show it a little bit later. Jarvis would not return to the game after that. I mean, that's just one of those tough, but I don't think Trouba jumped on it. I don't think he raised his elbow or put anything out there, but I think body ends up snapping the head back, and that's going to be a concussion because you're going one direction, so is your brain. Trouba makes you go the other direction. Brain hits wall. Things go hazy. Birds fly around. It is not funny. It's not good. It's a huge, huge hit. And for those that, don't like it, I understand why you don't like it, but the NHL for now says this is the rule. So we try not to get too into it, but Trouba with that physicality, the Ranger fans, they're loving it. How could you not love it? That's New York style hockey. Go ahead, beat them up, get a bagel down at the shop. Let's move on. You love what you're seeing from Jacob Trouba. If you're a red, white, and blue Ranger fan, he changed both series with his physicality. Good work by the Rangers. Nice trade from the Jets. Speaking of trades from the Jets, thank you very much for the first round pick for Andrew Copp. Because you make the Eastern Conference Final, my Winnipeg Jets end up getting a first round dinger. We love it. You won't care as Ranger fans. You're in the conference finals. That's exactly what you want. And Andrew Copp was an amazing addition for you guys. But even more important to the team, I think, was the return of Barclay Goodrow. Goodrow has been excellent. I mean, Goody blocks shots with the best of them. He's a heart and soul guy. He's the guy you love to see. Having him back in the lineup is a huge difference maker. Same with Chytil's development. Chytil in this series, you can see him rising and getting better and better and better. He is an excellent player. Drafted in 2017 at the back end of the first round, if you want to call 21st the back end, I do. He's one of only 5 draft picks on the Rangers roster. This is how you build a team. There's multiple ways. You don't have to just draft and develop. You can trade, you can sign, you have so many options. So the New York Rangers have exercised all of those options. Chytil happens to be one of the few draft picks actually on this team right now. And it looks like now in 2022, 6 years after his draft, he is starting to get there. And that's great. That's what you want. When a guy's drafted at the back end of the first round, it can take a little bit of time. But we are now starting to see the ascension of Filip. Alex Lafreniere is also starting to look much better. He was a 101 until he really takes 3 or 4 more steps forward. He won't have hit the ceiling that people were expecting him to hit, but he was a big contributor on the third line with Chytil to the New York Rangers victory. So that's great. And Capo Kakko was on the team. They signed Artemi Panarin. They traded for Zibanejad. They drafted Chris Kreider 1,000 years ago. They went ahead. They traded for Goodrow. Huge trade there. Thank you, Lightning. They drafted Chytil. They drafted Lafreniere. They traded for Ryan Reeves. Big X factor in the locker room. Big fourth line player for them. They trade for Gauthier. They go ahead and they draft Capo. They trade for Copp. They sign Greg McKegg. What a name. They trade for Tyler Mott. The fourth line for the Rangers has been pretty good this series. They go ahead, sign Kevin Rooney, and then it's a trade for Strome and Vetrano. And then when you take a look at their decor, basically entirely built through free agencies and through trade Igor Shesterkin comes in as drafted. That is how you compose the New York Rangers roster. That's how they got it done. They are going to go ahead and play the Tampa Bay Lightning. Now let's go ahead and pivot over to the Carolina Hurricanes. Look, the Hurricanes, they've done everything they can. They basically have 5 starting lines. Even the guys who are in the stands for the Carolina Hurricanes are starting players in the NHL. They have an amazing coach in Rod the Bod. They have depth all over the roster. They have Jacob Slavin on the back end, who is truly an elite number 1 defenseman at this point in time. They have Tony Deangelo up top. The Canes had an excellent season. They statistically are one of the best out there. They just made a few missteps outside of the goalie as well. Look, you can't do anything about the goalie. If Andersen was in there, maybe this would have been different. But at the end of the day, they gave themselves every opportunity to win at least 2 of these games in this series on the road, and they were unable to do it. Why? I think there was 2 main reasons. Number 1 is special teams. You all saw it, Canes fans. Their power play left something to be desired. That started making me really nervous as it went through. And why did their power play not work? They kept moving the puck to Tony Deangelo at the top. Change it up like that. Like Rod normally is the man. Rod's the bod. Rod's the man. He normally makes good pivots, good changes, but there was no changes there from Brindamore and co. Whoever is in charge of special teams for the Carolina Hurricanes, it always comes back to the head coach. Special teams is a coaching category. PK and power play always go back to coaching because you can control a lot of that on there. And you're going to keep going up to Deangelo at the top. Why? Deangelo is a good player, but if Igor can see the puck or has that kind of distance to find it, he's going to stop it. So even if you get a screen in front of the net or a high slot screen, Shesterkin's still going to have enough time to track it and find it. You don't want to beat Shesterkin that way. Why they didn't go down to the half wall, why they didn't go behind the net and start playing below the dots, I will never know. That's the way you got to beat Igor. You got to beat Igor low, you got to get him moving, and you got to bang in rebounds and get pucks to go off bodies, because if you give him that 30 feet in the offensive zone at the top with Deangelo, it's not going to go in, and the definition of insanity is to continue doing the same thing. But unfortunately, the Carolina Hurricanes had no pivot and no change in their power play operations. They just kept doing the same thing. So that was unfortunate in my opinion. I think that definitely ended up costing the series. Carolina's PK, the godly PK that they had on the road, wasn't that good. The Rangers power play ended up exploiting them. So it was a great power play by the Rangers. It was a challenging PK by the Canes on the road, and that ended up costing them the series as well too. The final thing that ends up costing the Canes the series is I think a lack of a total elite scorer. Svechnikov's an elite player. He's great. Aho is an elite player. But when I watch the Canes, you know what I see? I see 12 two-way hockey players all built in the same mold. There's nothing wrong with that. They are on the Rod Brindamore pathway to success. Sometimes you need a game breaker in there. You need someone that's just going to go ahead and turn things around. Everybody on this team is very good. Slavin is probably the most elite player on this team, in my opinion. I love Aho. Jarvis could definitely grow into that game-breaking scorer for you. So he may be on the roster. I'm not saying you have to go out and trade for him. You've drafted him most likely. I think you could have that 35, 40 goal scorer, maybe even 45 in Seth Jarvis. That's huge. Aho, great two-way player. Love what I see. Svechnikov can score when he needs to score. Great winger as well. There is depth all up and down the lineup, but it just felt like it was missing something to beat Igor. Or Igor is just that good. You let me know down below. Future of the Carolina Hurricanes is good still, though. I mean, you still got Jordan Staal, captain in there for 1 year. You've got Aho. You've got Svechnikov. You're fine. You're good to go there. Teravainen, you're good to go there. Kotkaniemi, you're good to go there. Jesper Fast, you're good to go. Martinook and Seth Jarvis. Yeah, you're losing some depth here on these back-end guys. There are some really key guys back here. You really do want to get a guy like Nino Niederreiter and Vincent Trocheck back in and on the program. Max Domi, depends if you can get a good deal for him. I feel bad for Max. This was a guy that was getting paid a lot of money and unfortunately has just fallen off. The rest of the guys, whether it's Derek Stepan or Martin and Natchez, I don't know, like they were all right. I thought Natchez had a terrible season this year, to be honest. One of the fastest guys in the NHL, super young. He's an RFA, so I think he's going to be back. I'm just telling you, I felt about him. So I think Carolina has a lot of cap space. They can get this done. They can bring their key guys back. When you go ahead and take a look at the defensemen, all the big defensemen are locked up. Tony D ends up as an RFA. He'll end up locked up. He'll get a big contract though, but it's okay. You got a lot of cap space in order to deal with it. Cole and Smitty, these are just two guys that are depth pieces there. Freddie Andersen's got 1 more year. You're good to go. So you're going to have to address your goaltending going forward, but you at least have 1 more year with these guys. And then when you scroll down and take a look at some of the forward depth you have have in there. You do have a bunch of forward depth that's coming in there that may be able to play who's 19 and 20. Same with guys on the back end here. You got Kochetkov coming in, so goaltending might be addressed at that point. The point of the matter is, if I'm the Carolina Hurricanes, I think you're going to have a very competitive, solid team next year. And if anything, due to the massive amounts of cap space you have open, because really it's just Aho that's the only high-paid player. Svechnikov, sure, at 7.75, but that doesn't feel like a high contract in the NHL at this point anymore. Yes, Slavin is on one of the best contracts I've ever seen right now at 5.3. That is value right there. So you got Brett Pesce, and I mean, you got great deals there. That's only like $15 million in defenseman, not a big deal. So you can go ahead, sign Deangelo, sign a couple of those guys up the top there, and you may have some room to go free agent hunting for one big free agent if you want to do it. I think the future next year is just fine for Carolina. They'll be back to the playoffs. They'll be a dominant team again. Let's go ahead, check out that absolutely massive hit by Trouba. You end up bumping that puck out here to Seth Jarvis, who's there where it's circled. And what you can see is the Rangers have numbers here. So because the Rangers have numbers, you may have a 3-on-2, but Trouba goes ahead and sees that he's his players. He's going to go ahead and make the decision to step up on the kid and let Seth Jarvis know that this is his blue line. As that puck gets over to Jarvis, and I mean, one thing you got to notice here about Jarvis is his head is up the entire way. You got to have your head up when you're a 175-pound guy like this. It doesn't go down. He knows it's coming because when your head is up, you're able to make a move. He ends up doing it, but unfortunately, because he sticks in it and makes a really nice pass back here, he is in trouble because Trouba has now stepped up and decided he is going to lay the boom. There's not many places Jarvis can go right now. Take a look at his feet. There's nowhere he can pivot, turn off. He's just going to take this hit. He goes to brace for it. Trouba ends up leveling him here. And that's tough to watch, especially if you're Seth. It's unfortunate, the height difference here, because it ends up shoulder to shoulder. His head ends up getting caught in it, but whether his head was caught in it or not, physics simply states when you are going this way and your brain is going with you and Trouba is going this way, you end up having a concussion because your brain smashes against your skull cavity. It's just a nasty reality of this game. So it is a really tough hit. This one ends up changing the series. I really hope Seth is all right. There's a lot of concussions that happen in the game. I hope he shakes it off. It's nothing to joke about. Head injuries are no fun, but change of the series when you've got an animal like Jacob Trouba back there, right, Ranger fans? Rangers end up clearing the puck here, and then all you end up seeing is Adam Fox coming in late on this power play. So as they end up moving forward, they're going to find Fox down below, and Fox is just an offensive dynamo. He's always activating. He's always in the play. He's a goal scorer. He wants to score. He's like a young Bobby Orr in that sense. When he ends up coming in, he's going to beat Raanta short, low side here with the screen in his way. Fox is excellent at always changing the angle of the puck and making sure that he waits for screens and he waits for opportunities to score. So you can see Raanta ends up looking left. Well, look where Fox is looking. He looks exactly where he's going to shoot. He notices that Raanta is caught looking and he's out of position. So he's going to go ahead and he's going to beat him on the left-hand side. And that is because Raanta ends up looking to the right-hand side. That's how snipers shoot. And Adam Fox is one of the best goal scorers and point getters in the NHL, not just defensemen, but in the entire league. That New York Rangers power play again ends up going back to work. Who starts it? Of course, it's Adam Fox. Guy's an absolute beast. We just spent the whole video talking about him. He moves over to beast number 2, which is Mika Zibanejad. Zibanejad loves this spot on the power play. And then we go to beast number 3, Captain Tip-In, Chris Kreider, having a career year at 31 years old. You don't get older, you only get younger when you're Kreider. What a beautiful tip. Ends up beating Raanta on the power play. You got to see the hand-eye coordination here from Chris Kreider. The puck is right here. His stick is in perfect position. This was an absolute bullet from Zibanejad. This was a shot. This was not something that was a slap pass. He wasn't purposely shooting for Kreider's stick. You know how I know? Because he's in this position. He's in the Brett Hull one knee down, one-timer, clap bomb extraordinaire. Look at Kreider make that tip. That is unbelievable. I couldn't even see that puck. The camera can't pick up the puck. Kreider's nifty eye can pick up that puck, and his hand-eye is through the roof. Goal number 3 starts with trade acquisition. Former Winnipeg Jet Andrew Copp winning a 2-on-1 battle down low. You know what I hate more than anything? Reaching in. Take 3 steps, go get the puck, or take 2 steps backwards this way and support the puck, waiting for it to bounce out. Hate reach-ins. Absolutely useless. When you're caught bending over like this, nothing good's going to happen. Copp ends up winning the battle for the puck 2-on-1. It ends up moving around the backside of the boards And then the Carolina Hurricanes get caught deep here on the forecheck. That puck ends up moving up onto the stick of the Breadman. You'll see one pinch here. You see two Carolina Hurricanes trapped down low right here, and that is going to spring Ryan Strome on the 2-on-1. Panarin is too good with the puck. It's a nifty little board chip. Remember, we talk about stretching the zone. You want to take strides. You want to come lengthwise across the zone, pick up loose pucks that are chips, find yourself in the neutral zone, and you're going to score goals. That's what Strome here ends up doing. Once Strome is able to pick up that puck, what do we end up having here? Look, another defenseman lying down. It's not like it did anything, but this is why the lie down sucks. Strome has already chosen to shoot. Why not? I would shoot this as well too. Go ahead, shoot short side here. Kochetskov's come in cold. It's unfortunate. The kid's in the net. Strome knows it. Strome goes, I'm just going to put it on. Bang. Scores a beauty there. Absolutely nice goal by Strome. Didn't even have to look him off. Didn't even have to pretend the pass. Remember, we would rather have our defensemen end up ensuring that pass doesn't come off. Leave that shot for your goalie. It's only a 10% chance to score, but that chance drastically increases when it's a cold goalie coming in off the bench. Kreider's going to get his second of the night. Why? Again, because Carolina is trapped down low. Look at all the Carolina Hurricanes down here. Because they end up trapped down low, the New York Rangers get to spring, they get to leave, and they're going to have odd numbers again on the Chris Kreider goal here, but you cannot blame Carolina. They need to push for a goal at this moment in time. All it is a simple 1-2 pass here up to Chris Kreider. He ends up using his speed. Look, just push the puck. Don't stick handle the puck. Nothing fancy. Just push the puck, young man. Young man at 31 years old. He ends up busting in on Kochetkov. He uses that body. We have seen Chris Kreider drive the net like this his entire career. He ends up driving the net, but instead of making goalie contact, he decides to score a goal. He's a goal scorer now. Beautiful job there by Kreider crossing the Royal Road. One simple move, all the speed in the world. Cross that invisible line across the middle, lay him down, put it in the back of the net. You don't need anything fancy. You can just push the puck, make a single move and a backhand because speed kills, and Kreider has it for days. Normally, this is where I would call the video, but you all love Chytil. You would not let me live it down if I didn't give you the Chytil goal. So it's simple race for the puck. I love what's happening here. He ends up turning around. Chytil's right here. He's made all the strides he needs to make. Hopefully that puck ends up getting across the ice to him, but it doesn't. Carolina's got sticks in lanes. Good stick on puck right here, ends up preventing that pass from going across. Unfortunately, it starts the quagmire of events that you can see here. The puck ends up high and off the glass thanks to that, and it actually allows the Rangers to pick up the puck on a turnover. Even though Carolina does it, there is a beautiful angle that's taken here. I love angles. Angles are the way you turn pucks over. It's all about the angle on the forecheck. Chytil is behind over here, and they're going to actually end up causing a turnover, giving the kid a breakaway. You see that nifty little turnover here. Chytil has the puck. He is in, and he's just going to shoot right through the 5-hole. Beautiful goal there by Chytil. He's really grown into his role with the Rangers. So that's it. That's the goals for the night. So now the big question is going to be, Ryan, you got Tampa Bay or do you got the Rangers? You're going to have to stick around. You're going to have to subscribe, join us so you can see my next video talking about the previews. But what I'm going to tell you here is when you have two great goalies that are going to go at each other like this, when you got Shesterkin, when you got Vasilevsky, Tampa Bay may have the firepower, they may have the better team, but Igor Shesterkin gives you a puncher's chance all night. And for those of you saying Vasi is better than Shesterkin, yes, you're right. It's Vasilevsky's net until it's not. Shesterkin's going to have to earn it, but this is how legends are made. This is how legends are born. So if Igor out-goalies the goalie, isn't he the goalie? We're going to have to wait and see. So stick around for our preview video. I cannot wait for this series to start.